A very special morning at DIA. The organization Rocky Mountain Honor Flight will send some of our nation's oldest war veterans on an amazing, maybe first ever trip to Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Danny New joins us live from the airport. And Danny, so many veterans out there with you this morning. We understand you have one special one to talk to.
Yes, well, this is my friend who has a pretty cool name, I would say. His name is Danny. I think you had it first, though, right?
So I probably did, yeah.
Just barely. Skin in the teeth.
A couple of days.
But Danny went on his first trip. He served in the Navy in Vietnam, and he went on his first trip with them in June to D.C. And he loved it so much he came back to volunteer as a Guardian. What was so special about it? What about it spoke to you?
Everything, it was just so well done and so meaningful. It was so dignified, and it was one of those things that the trip was something that is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I never thought that I would go back to and see all of the memorials and monuments that were built to the veterans. I'm a proud veteran of the U.S. Navy, yes, but I never had really thought about going back and actually visiting the memorials. And the entire trip, seeing people cheering and clapping for you as you walk through the airport, the water salute at the airport in Baltimore when we landed, the reception when we returned on Saturday night. Everybody, just really a strong feeling of patriotism. God bless America. It was wonderful the whole time. I spent 3 days crying, and then the next day crying after I got home. It's emotionally draining, but in such a good way. And Rocky Mountain Honor Flight is just such a wonderful organization to be able to do this for the veterans. We can never say thank you enough to veterans.
I mean, you were telling me in the last 8 years alone, you've had 100 surgeries and treatments after Agent Orange and what it did to your skin?
Yeah, approximately 100 in approximately 8 years for different surgeries and or excisions for Agent Orange exposure. And I was on a ship. I was only boots on ground a couple of times, but primarily on the ship, but close enough that we were exposed to Agent Orange toxins in our drinking water, our bathing water.
And when you hear all that, that's why it's so hard to believe that maybe Vietnam veterans don't feel they got a proper thank you when they returned from Vietnam.
One of the most meaningful things to me when we got off the train coming back on Saturday night from my trip in June, an Army veteran from Vietnam that we kind of bonded at our trip in June, and he kind of nudged me and he said, "Danny, this is a whole lot different than the last time we came back." And I get so emotional about this because this is so important. We owe our country, the freedom, the liberty that we have to our veterans, and we can't say thank you loudly enough and enough times. And it really helps for us to come together. The group is going to bond together well. I was so impressed. We got back on Saturday night. Monday morning I had filled out the form online to go as a Guardian, pay my own way to go as a Guardian, just because I wanted to give back, because it's such a meaningful expression of appreciation to our veterans.
Well, thank you for your service, Danny, and thank you for bringing so much honor to our name that we share.
Thank
Make
you.
it look really cool when I meet a Danny like you.
You're the tall, good-looking one. I'm the older one.
No, you look good. Hey, I actually have to toss to weather right now. Do you want to ask Lisa Hidalgo, our meteorologist, what the weather's looking like for your flight?
Yeah, how's the weather in D.C. going to be for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
It's looking good. We're going to get him his own full forecast, but at least flying out of DIA, Danny, is looking good for you. You know how bumpy it can get here with those winds, but I think you've got a nice, smooth ride out of the airport.